Okay, we're going to speak about West Indies. So the last time I was in West Indies, I'm just checking what are the things. We went Guyana playing a couple of T20s where it rained again and stuff like that. We had a washed out ODI in Guyana. So I'm just
Yeah,
having a look at this stuff.
I was actually going to ask you about that picture of you, Bharatarun sir, Ravi Shastri sir, with Bob Marley in the background.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was going to talk about it. That was one of the highlights of the tour. Going to Bob Marley's house, knowing his cause, what he fought for, what he wanted, the
Yeah,
way they've converted that into a lovely little museum in Jamaica.
yeah,
Going to his place, knowing where he slept, going to his recording studio, and see
correct.
how he operated, what time of the day and night he operated. And there is this one room full of trophies and all the awards and medals what he had got from various countries. And then how amazing story. You literally walk through his life when you go to that place in Jamaica. That was actually one of the highlights off the field highlights of the tour. I mean, there's so many. As part of my playlist on my iTunes. I like obviously Buffalo Soldier is Ravi's favorite.
Yeah,
Most of our post-match parties and post-match celebration, post-series celebrations, Buffalo Soldier is a song which has to be played. Especially after the party goes a little later into the hours. So then all the players know that it was Ravi's favorite. So one or two would come. शिपा शिपा बफलो सोल्जर लगाओ ना रवि भाई को नचाएंगे रवि भाई को डांस करवाएंगे चलो 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 and then they somehow manage to play that song and then Ravi he loves the song and then he's there singing and he's in his elements so yeah that is one of the songs which is always played in our post-match post-series get-togethers.
Right then, ladies and gentlemen, what a man we've signed on cricket.com. Here's a little intro before we move forward, right? He was born in Mysore, but he ended up playing cricket for Hyderabad for 12 years as their frontline spinner. Mind you, he claimed about 90 plus first class wickets before taking up coaching in 2001. Now, he's worked at various levels, including the under 19s, the domestic teams, an IPL franchise, of course. And yeah, this is the small matter of working with the Indian team for the last 7 years as their fielding coach. I'm talking about R Sridhar. Remember, this man has seen over 300 plus international games. He's got so much success, especially in the red ball cricket as well as white ball cricket. And Shri, as he's fondly known, stepped down as India's fielding coach in 2021, but he now runs a coaching company himself called Coaching Beyond. And you can see that little logo on the t-shirt that he's wearing, which we'll bring home shortly. But in short, it's going to be absolutely fun personally for me to unravel all the insights and stories with our Sridhar. So let's get him on board and call him our Sridhar. You see the pun there. First and foremost, Shri, good to have you on board. How are we this evening?
Fantastic, Avnish. It's a pleasure to be on board with cricket.com. And I must say, the weather is beautiful out here in Hyderabad. I just finished a wonderful little coaching session with some under 16 boys. And I cannot be better than what I am now.
Yeah, it's that part of the calendar where all of the Indians is staying awake till 3 in the morning. Given the West Indies, the calendar has hit us right now. We'll start by reviewing the one-day internationals before we preview the T20 internationals with you, sir. First and foremost, what's your takeaway from this 3-0 series win? What are the biggest positives for you, coach?
I mean, there are plenty of positives to take away from this series because, firstly, you didn't have many of your top players. It goes on to show that how good health Indian cricket is in. I mean, in terms of the luxury of cricketers we have. For me, Shubman Gill coming in, opening, and being consistent over a couple of games. Shikhar Dhawan doing Shikhar Dhawan things, and to me, again, the bright spot. Obviously, Siraj, filling in for Bumrah and Shami, bowling this brilliant 50th over. The first game, and even yesterday, giving those two early breakthroughs for India, augurs really well for ODI cricket. Let's talk about ODI cricket later when we get to it. But yeah, I mean, that was wonderful to watch. Shreyas Iyer, I think a big 100 is just round the corner. Sanju, second game, he batted really well, pretty safe behind the stumps. So I mean, we ticked almost every box there, and Chahal, needless to say, been India's number one match winner with the ball in the white ball cricket over the last few months. He's been fantastic through the tours of England and West Indies. So I mean, there's plenty to talk about there. There's plenty to talk about.
Yeah, now you mentioned a couple of individuals. We'll get to them in due course, but I want to start with the captain, Shikhar Dhawan, who you said is just doing Shikhar Dhawan things. Now, he's got some runs under his belt, not just in West Indies, but in England too, but he's looked a little scratchy, not at his fluent best, some would say. What do you think has affected him lately, firstly? And secondly, after what Jay Shah said recently in terms of India having two teams in white ball cricket, does that give Dhawan and the likes of him a greater chance to play all three formats, should I say?
I think we are already down that road where we are going to have multiple teams. I'm answering your second question first. We already saw that last year while we were in England with the test team. There was a white ball team down in Sri Lanka playing T20s and ODIs, and they competed extremely well. So I think that with the advent of IPL now, we have the luxury of, like I said, fielding two teams or probably even three teams which can compete at the highest level. So why not make the most of it? And they are top class entertainers. It is not just that we are fielding teams for the sake of it. I mean, we have entertaining cricketers who will put bumps on seats and who will get eyeballs on television as well. So that is the kind of cricket India plays nowadays, and we are seeing that time and again. And again, coming to your first question about Shikhar Dhawan, I mean, Shikhar Dhawan has been invaluable to Indian cricket over the last 8 or 9 years, especially in the white ball format. He's been a great foil to both Rohit and Virat. Make no mistake, people talk a lot about the numbers of Virat from 2014 to 19-20, the kind of form he's been in ODI cricket. He's been probably the greatest match winner of all time. And Rohit, his exploits in one-day cricket has been second to none as well. So I think these two guys performing so well. I think Shikhar has got a huge role to play in that with his left-handed ability at the top of the order, taking on the best bowlers and allowing them to play they want. And in doing so, he's carved a niche for himself as India's reliable opening batter. Someone with the experience now, his fitness is probably better than what he was a few years ago. And he understands the game better, a lot more. He's a better thinking cricketer. So when it comes to one-day international, I think we don't need to look beyond him too much, at least till the 2023 World Cup. And in white ball, in shorter format, in T20, I think he's a banker batter. You know, if IPL teams, they love to rely upon him because he's going to give you 400 runs every season when he plays for his franchisee. So that is something he brings along with him to the franchisees. So he's someone who's going to be sought after in franchisee cricket as well. But whereas Indian teams are concerned, I think till the 2023 World Cup, in my opinion, he's going nowhere.
Okay, let's see how that story trickles on. But some pertinent points made by you, Shri. Speaking about Shikhar Dhawan's partner in this West Indies ODI series that we saw, Shubman Gill, got some runs, got good runs, unlucky to not get 100 with the rain coming on and leaving him stranded on unbeaten 98. What sets him apart from the rest of the young openers? My first question before we deep dive further about Shubman Gill.
I think there are a lot of good openers going around. We had Ruturaj Gaikwad playing the South Africa series when Shubman was not fit. Then we have Ishan Kishan sitting there in the dugout. We have Prithvi Shaw, who we're going to talk about later probably. We have, I'm missing out someone who I wanted to talk about, another young opener who's been doing well in the IPL. But Shubman Gill, I think his work ethics are brilliant. He's someone who's extremely fit, very strong, and batting comes easy to him, isn't it? Such an easy batter. You know, he's pleasing to the eye when he plays. He doesn't seem to hit the ball too hard. He's got a wide array of shots on both on the offside and leg side. He can make the bowlers look ridiculously silly at times. So that is what he can do, and he's got all the skill sets. But with Shubman, one thing I would want him to up the game is make his presence felt a little more. Maybe bring that competitive aggression in him a little more, both in terms of body language while batting and in terms of body language while fielding, and do that. So I think it's work ethics, his repertoire of shots, and his ability to handle pressure well should hold him in good stead going forward.
Yeah, and we've seen glimpses of that multiple times in the recent past. Now, talking about young openers a little bit more, Coach, you mentioned Prithvi Shaw there. He wore India colours much earlier than someone like Shubman Gill. And did show enough intent, some would argue, in Sri Lanka as well as the last two IPLs. What might be the reason for Prithvi Shaw drifting down the pecking order in the grander scheme of things, you'd reckon?
It's a good question. It's something which we all wonder why. A batter who makes, bowlers look absolutely silly. Where the way he's going to bat, he's so good on the offside. He's got great hands going through the ball. Especially on the offside. You bowl any length to him, he's able to put it away in the gaps and stuff like that. The reason why he's fallen down in the pecking order could be one, maybe his fitness. I'm not sure why he's not able to make it into the squads. He started off the IPL well, but slowly, as IPL progressed for Delhi Capitals, his performances fell apart a little bit, if I may say so. Maybe we are being too harsh on the kid. We need to give him time. He's also a young bloke. He needs to get his act together in terms of his work ethics.
Okay, fitness is such a key part, and there's so much of talk of fitness nowadays that we will definitely pick your mind about that in greater depth going forward in our conversations. Now, one thing which strikes me is at the end of every series, right? Of course, you know this better than most, is that how you guys as coaches analyze all the data points, especially with regards to all three departments, but fielding in particular, Shri. How do you guys give the players specific feedback, and what's the numbers that we talk about when we kind of review the stuff from a series?
It's a very good question. I would like to go back to 2017 when Virat became the full-time ODI captain. And, that is when we thought we should quantify fielding a little more, make all fielders more accountable to what they were doing. And I shared that thought with Virat, and Virat was right in. And he was someone who wanted to take the fielding to the next level as well, himself walking the talk and setting an example in terms of intensity and aggression on the field. So yeah, we started quantifying fielding a little bit. How many balls each player is fielding, how many balls is he throwing, and in those throws, how many throws are high intensity, how many throws are low intensity, trying and getting the workload of each fielder during a game, how many kilometers is a fielder covering during every match. Out of those kilometers he covered, how many kilometers are high speed running, how many kilometers are just low speed running, how to handle him the next day, how many days rest he requires before he comes back to high intensity fielding, who takes maximum catches, who saves maximum runs, and in which position each fielder is more effective. And based on that data, we are able to put the right fielders in the right position and empower captains to make the informed decision in terms of setting fields. So, and we used to sit, I used to sit with the bowling coach, make the bowling plans and say, okay, if this is a plan for a certain batter, then this fielder has to be fielding in that position. So, things like that. So, if you felt that, for example, Dean Elgar is someone who will go to push the ball to mid-on and take a single every time Ashwin bowls to him, then I would have probably Jadeja fielding at mid-on. So, move him out from the traditional backward point position and put him at mid-on. I'm just giving an example. So, these are the kind of plays we used to make. And then we had a lot of team plays, which we had as KPIs as to how we should be as a unit on the field. So, it took some time to get the players to buy into it and get into the act, but I think all our lads took to it like fish to water, and then I think it was fun. It was fun watching them.
It just gives you lots more perspective in terms of who the real ones are to watch out for, and the ones that you, of course, chiseled and molded over the years. Let's, of course, just end this ODI review chat by asking you one for the grander scheme of things with a longer view. Now, even Ravi Shastri had his view not too long ago on Sky Sports, where he questioned the relevance of the 50-over format, at least the bilateral scheme of things. What's your view, Shri, especially with such a series like the West Indies? Is it more face value than cricket value, given the relevance of ODI cricket right now?
Look, to be honest, we have to accept the fact that ODI cricket is having a slow death because Test cricket can hold its own because it is very thrilling. It's very interesting. It's intriguing. The audience are engaged because the quality of cricket is very high. T20 cricket, obviously, needless to say, is the way forward to take cricket deeper into other countries. ODI cricket is the one which is going to lose the race, going by what we are seeing. What we saw last month with South Africa pulling out of a series against Australia pretty much sums up things, and the new leagues sprouting everywhere, offering quality remuneration for the players, and what top cricketers are choosing the leagues over international cricket. That pretty much sounds the death knell for ODI cricket, if I may say so. It's not going to be going away immediately. I think ICC has sold the rights for 2023, 2027, the next FTP. So it's not going to go away immediately. But we can see the decrease of ODI cricket in bilateral series very soon.
Yeah, it's a real shame because growing up, at least from my perspective as a kid, we used to love 50-over cricket. But now the influx of T20s, and no one can ever say Test match cricket can go away. If they are, they're supposed to be executed somewhere, because look, we're all romantics of the game. We want Test cricket as much as we want T20s. Speaking of the latter,
Test
then
match cricket is something which we can romance with, Test match
absolutely.
cricket, and the big boys embrace it. The big boys embrace Test match cricket, whether it is India, England, Australia. They embrace Test match cricket, so that's not going to go away because it's high quality. It really tests your skills, tests your mental toughness, tests your character, tests your fitness, tests your tactical acumen. It tests every aspect of a cricketer, and cricketers love that. They love it. They love to go through the 5-day grind. You don't pack your bags and move away to another venue to play another match. You get up again with the hangover of the previous day, and you got to come up with your best again and again and again and again for 5 days. Boy, that's really good.
Let's now talk about the T20 International Series then, and preview this, because there are 5 games, at 2 in Miami, which is always going to be introducing more cricket fans from that part of the globe. First and foremost, Shri, what boxes do India need to tick in this series with the World Cup looming large?
I think the biggest box is they have to get the top 3 in order. I think that to me is the biggest conundrum, if I may say, for the Indian think tank, for the management, for the team management, as to whom to fit in there. Rohit Sharma obviously is the captain, so he comes there. Whom do we have at 2 and 3? That is the biggest question that remains to be answered. I think India team management have to sort that out. Probably in the West Indies series, give it a go. Now that KL Rahul is not available for that series, that's what I'm hearing, and which means Rishabh goes open and Virat comes in. Virat's not there in the series as well, so Rishabh goes open, and it remains to be seen who will bat at 3. Whether it's going to be Shreyas Iyer or who, that remains to be seen. But going forward for the World Cup, whether India go by current performance, or you go by history and ability to win big matches and the experience of playing in World Cups, that they take that into consideration, that's going to be very interesting to watch. I think that is the biggest challenge for the Indian team management.
Now, fascinating subplot is someone you mentioned right now, Rishabh Pant, right? Now, would you agree with that move, that what they experimented in England with, him opening in T20 internationals in particular, maybe taking a page from the Gilchrist book, dare I say? Do you think it's worked well? Is it almost throwing a cat amongst the pigeons with Rahul, Rohit and Kohli there, all fit and firing?
Look, for me, don't judge me. One man's opinion, okay? Don't shoot me for this. I think it's a wonderful move. But it's a wonderful move because it'll free him up first of all, and it'll give us a left-right combination too, so which is so vital going into big tournaments. You see, worldwide, all the best combinations have been left-right combinations, barring a few. You can talk about plenty, but you don't need to look further than Ganguly and Tendulkar for Indian cricket. So Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma have been so successful for India over the years. So that is point number 2. And point number 3, if Rishabh comes in open, it will also free up Rohit Sharma, because there will be a lot of attention on Rishabh. Bowlers and bowling meetings will be spent talking about how to bowl to Rishabh in the power play. So that could give some space to Rohit to do what he does so well. So to me, it's a very good move. It's a positive move. Like I said earlier, it reminds me of someone who put Mr. Tendulkar at the top back in 1994. Could be a watershed moment in India is the white ball cricket. But where does that leave KL Rahul, who is such a fine T20 opening batsman? So that's a headache for the Indian team management. But I think Rishabh may not fire straight away, but then you have to persist with it. Whether we have the patience to persist with it, that's a question that remains to be answered. But the face of it, I think it's a terrific move.
Okay, good to hear that, because of course lots of people might be echoing those thoughts. But on that note, we talk about India's approach. Rohit Sharma, of course, in that post-match series after the England win, said the approach was something that pleased not just him but the team management the most. How do you kind of reflect on that? And were the critics right in throwing daggers at the time about the approach for the last World Cup, Shri? More importantly, can India do something different going forward?
Yeah, I think we were probably caught a little bit in a cautious to conservative mindset in the last World Cup, but I really liked the way this team approached the T20 series against England. I thought they were nowhere near cautious or conservative. They were bold, they were courageous, and they stuck to the game plan. I think everybody bought into it, the kind of approach they need to take going forward. There was a lot of creativity amongst these batters who batted at the top of the order. There was aggression, and I thought it brought in a lot of awareness as well. I think that's something. This approach is something they would stick to going forward, and that is how it should be. You may lose a few games by big margins, but then when you win, you will bring the house down with this kind of approach, and it'll be an approach which will set spectators thronging to the stadiums and to the television sets. So I love this approach which this new Indian team is playing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that more and more.
That is truly well said, and everyone resonates those thoughts watching this. Before we move forward, I would urge all the subscribers to tell the rest of the people to subscribe to cricket.com, because like we've mentioned earlier, R Sridhar is going to be with us throughout the West Indies series, for the Asia Cup as well, and lots more stories, we can promise you that. From
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching us on cricket.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel because there's a lot of fun, a lot of insights, a lot of learnings coming your way.